CFR Network, CFR News. Hola, bonjour, good day, good night, all. Welcome back. Thank yourself for surviving the zombie apocalypse. We're in the Gregorian year of 2022, and I have a very special guest with me today, Blue Fronteraz. How are we? How are we today, mademoiselle? Señorita.
Good, I'm good. How are you?
We're good. We're good. We're positive. We're looking forward to this this conversation. How have you been over this this new year that we've just entered?
Well, good. I can't believe time is flying. Time always flies. And plus, I'm a little bit sad because this Corona thing won't go away, you know?
I think everybody's in that same mindset. I think we're just sick and tired of it right now. We just want to, live rather than exist. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think about it, honestly, like when I think about it, and I cannot believe that this is happening during my lifetime. Like, I guess there's always events that happen during people's lifetimes, like maybe World War I, World War II. Like, yeah, my grandma lived through World War I, or my great great grandfather lived through the Holocaust or something. I'm living through a pandemic. And this is kind of like, I think about it, I'm like, wow, I'm living through a pandemic in my lifetime. That's something that I guess people are going to talk about maybe down the road, and it's going to be a thing.
It's most definitely, it's etched in history. And as you say, who would have ever thought that we would be living 2+ years almost through as a situation which has never ever been seen on this plane of existence? Never.
Yep.
But we're here.
But we're here, yes.
We made it. This is an all praise to the Most High that we have survived. Some have flourished, others have just been able to just make it through. But we're here, we're kicking, and we've got to make the most of life. That's my push to everybody. Make the most of the moment and the time we're in right now.
Yep, I agree. Make the most of it.
Totally. So I'm gonna leave you to introduce yourself to the listeners and the siblings. Then please give a little introduction to yourself, Señorita, of who you are, and then we will get into the human exploration of your journey.
All right. My name is Blue Fronteraz. I was formerly known as Narcotic, aka Blue. I started out with a company called Dope House Records out of Houston, Texas, during the time that I was using that artist name. I was the first female, and I was among the first artists to start a genre of music called Narco rap. When I started it, people didn't know how to classify me because where I come from, where I live in the southern tip of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, the things I rapped about were like things that I lived, things that I went through, kind of like an autobiography in my music. And to me, it's kind of like a normal way of life. It's normal. But I was in Houston, and of course this was a big company, so my music had expanded to other parts like California, LA, Ohio, Colorado. And a lot of my audience didn't understand my music because they don't know the way of life. Now narco, the narco culture has grown rapidly in the United States, so they kind of know more a little bit about my music, what I'm talking about. But when I first started, people didn't understand, so they didn't know how to classify me. When I had to get distributed, people were like, well, is this Latin music or is this Chicano rap? They wanted to classify me under Chicano rap. I'm like, this is not Chicano rap, because Chicano rap is like, it's a totally completely different culture from narco rap.
Well,
My
explain that,
man,
Blue. Explain before you continue. Explain the nuanced differences between Chicano and Narco rap.
Chicano rap is more like cholos. People know what a cholo is, like lean like a cholo, right? Blood in, blood out. I know a lot of people know this famous movie, Blood in, Blood Out. So it's more like this hip hop culture with the low riders. They got low riders, the bouncy vehicles, right? The ones, the low riders that Snoop Dogg would drive, things like that. The fedora hats, the
Yes,
low, the bald heads, the guys with the bald heads. There's a certain pose, that these guys, throw.
indeed.
Um, of course, you cannot forget the Nike Cortez. I did used to wear those growing up. So it's a culture. The Chicano and Chicano rap, it's a culture. Now, narco rap is a completely different culture. It's cartel culture. It has everything to do with cartel. It has nothing to do with gangsters, East Los Angeles, the East LA, West LA gangs. It has nothing to do with that, but it has everything to do with cartels. Cartels is a way of life in the area where I live. They're very predominant. I want to say that's the word. So that's the difference between narco rap and Chicano rap. And people wanted to classify me in Chicano rap. I'm like, I'm not a Chicana. Like, I did grow up a little bit. I was a little gangbanger growing up, but that's not who I was. My father was a federale. It's what the Americans call a federale. He was a Mexican, federal. He was un policía federal, which is kind of like a federal agent of
Okay,
Mexico.
so that's high,
So
top level in the police force of sorts, right?
yeah. So I grew up with his military boots, coming home with his military boots and these AK-47s and these giant bullets. They're like this big. Like, I grew up, and man, I was a fan. I wasn't a boy, but he was still my superhero. Growing up, he was my superhero. Like, dude, he was the coolest.
Mm.
And I remember the stories. He would come home with like sometimes like big stacks of money. Mexico was weird like that. He had pictures, and in a field, and I mean a giant field of marijuana. Like, he was like just walking through the giant fields. I guess they had made a bust or something. And I mean, he was just the coolest. Growing up, he was the coolest. So I grew up in that narco culture, and that's why I identified with the narco culture, and I don't identify with Chicano rap. When I had my manager at that time, she was the first to she made a biography of me, which is what you present with your press kits, right? You present a biography with your press kits, the EPKs. And she said right there, it's a mix of rap and corridos. There's a thing called narco corridos where I live, which is the first music made for narcos, and it's narco corrido. So all of a sudden, I was doing the same thing, like I was singing about the narco life, the narco culture, but in rap. So she's like, in the biography, it said that I didn't understand it, but now I do. Like, it's narco rap. Like, I'm one of the creators of narco rap. And now narco rap is a thing. 10 years later, narco rap in my area is a thing. There's a lot of narco raperos, like a lot. Like, it just grew.
Uh,
So
You're the
yeah,
foundation. You are the foundation of that there.
I am one. I would say another artist that started with me is Big Los. A lot of people know who Big Los is, Big Los y Chino. And another person that I, give the torch to would be my now passed away husband, Blunt. He started with a duo, a very famous duo of Narco rap called Cano y Blunts. Eran Cano y Blunts.
Mhm.
So I think I would say all of us, you know, Big Los, Chino, me, myself, Cano y Blunts, we all started this, and whew, you know, it's been a long
Mm.
road, but it's a thing now. So yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And as you say, with the rise of whatever, is it Netflix or whatever it is, the obviously the Narco series and all that kind of stuff, there is a huge resurgence in, the people wanting to understand and learn and indulge in that kind of lifestyle and culture.
Yeah, yeah. It's on Netflix, Narcos.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't actually, I might be one of the only people who haven't watched that Narco series.
I don't watch it either. I haven't watched it, if I'm honest.
But you
I
live
don't.
you're living it, you're talking it, so you know.
Yeah, it's not real. Like with the way they portray it and the way it really is, it's not real. So that's why I don't watch it. I'm like,
Mm.
I don't watch it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. It's shining some light. It's shining some light, but
it's shining some light, but they glamorize it too much. Like it's not like that. It's very hardcore. It's very, they glamorize it a lot,
mhm.
and it's very it's crazy out here. Like people dying all the time. Like let me give you an example. I have friends, of course, that are in the cartel, in the business, and we talk, and they don't have women, they don't have money. They're out. They send them out to like where the border lines, where the other cartels trying to come in from another area. They send them out to the border lines. It's like World War I or Vietnam War or something. They send them out to fight. They're out there for like I want to say 2-3 days, no shower, just a bunch of guys. They
Mm.
hardly eat. If they eat anything, they might eat like a marucha soup or something. Yeah, I mean it's tough, and they glamorize it so much, and it's not like that. It's a scary
It's
situation.
mm, it definitely sounds it. So what for the lay person, I mean, what is the conflicts between the cartels? Is it territory? Is it like why would they be
Can you give
warring?
me a second? So, because one of my lights went out.
So my question is cartels, what is the conflicts? Is it territory? Why they're having to go out for days upon a time to kind of battle?
Yes, it's territory.
Okay.
The more territory they have, the more money they make. The area where I live is called Tamaulipas. Um, well, I live on both sides because I have double nationalities. So in the Mexico side, where I was born and raised, Reynosa, Tamaulipas, is the most. It was classified the most dangerous city in all of Mexico, and Tamaulipas, one of the most dangerous states. And so there predominantly has always been the Gulf cartel, Cartel del Golfo. It's always been there, but they've had other cartels try to come in and take it because of the routes. That's what they fight. They fight
Ah,
the drug routes. Um, so Reynosa is connected to McAllen, and Rio Grande, Tamaulipas is connected to the whole valley, like Rio Grande and all that stuff. So that's one of the most dominant or predominant. I don't know the word, proper word, but that's one of the bestest routes, I guess.
yeah.
And that's what they're fighting, the routes where they cross. Of course, they cross the illegals, they cross the drugs. There's a show called Border Wars. It's a really good show, but it shows all of that. It's about, but it's more about what the CBP, which is the Customs and Border Patrol, goes through, trying to keep all the narcos out. It shows kind of like the movie, the show Bad Boys, the
Mm,
cop. I don't know if you
Yes.
ever saw that cop. It's kind of like that, but valley style. It's more like about the border patrol trying to stop the cartels, and it's fun to watch.
Imagine, most definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, but if we think about it, and if we use logic and rationale, there's America or Central America has an appetite for narcotic, and it's been deemed illegal, but people still want it. Now, the
The
government,
narcotics or
yeah, the narcotics, yeah, that cocaine.
the
So,
cocaine. Well, yeah, they Mexico likes it, but actually the biggest buyers is the US. The
exactly.
US is the biggest consumer.
Mm,
So not only in like trade, like all kinds of trade, tourism, but um the US is, like, we've talked about it. I think I even see stuff on the news, like it's not going to stop. Mexico's not going to get better until the Americans stop buying drugs from Mexico. It's the biggest drug consumer. So that's why the cartels are so strong. All of them
yes,
they go to the north. All the cocaine, all the cocaina, it goes to the north to the Americans.
indeed. And the
Yeah.
price, and look at from the cultivation and the preparation, we're talking about very little money, pesos, and then we get through to the refinery of it, then it's again very little money, and then it triples and quadruples in price as soon as it crosses that border and
Yep.
lands.
Hmm.
It's very interesting. Um, it's a never-ending battle, as you say, and you have
Yep.
naive people who think the CHP and border control and all these people are they're doing their best, and some of them are, and you do have some of those crooked ones, but they've got an impossible job. Look at the territory.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
can you control patrol, sorry, that length of real estate? Of course people are going to be coming in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the incentive is that US dollar.
Yeah. The incentive is, I guess, easy money. That's the way they look at it. It's risky, but it's easy money, I guess.
Yes, yes.
Not to mention the power that comes with it, the power that comes with being jefe de plaza, comandante, even if you're a small time comandante, I guess, that's what people covet, or that's why they
Mm.
buy.
But is it, I mean, that's what other opportunities are there? Outside of seeing that as your way to get some income and some notoriety, what other avenues do people have to eke out a successful living?
Well, that's the problem. There really isn't much. The problem, I guess, it's with the country. That's why I want to say Mexico is like a third world country.
Mm,
Um, that there's really no way to make a living, there's no way for people to be well off. It's either they join the cops, like the Marina, the army, the Mexican army. Either you join that, or you join the government, or you're going to join the cartel. Other than that, everything in between, I think they make 50 US dollars a week.
oh my,
Like my phone bill, and I have an American phone bill. My phone bill alone is like $150 a month. So, when I get my nails done or my hair, it's $100 each time. So $50 a week doesn't do anything. So that's how much people be making. And there's in order to go to school in Mexico, like here in the US, we have free public education. We have public schools. I think they're starting something as a free college. There's help for college. In Mexico, there's no such thing as free school. Like ever since you're a kid and you have to go to preschool, your parents have to pay. They have to pay your tuition, they have to pay your supplies, they have to pay books. And being, like a third world country, a lot of people don't get that opportunity. It's really hard out there. So that's why a lot of people opt to just like, hey, you know what, let me just join the cartel, make a quick buck. It's easy, you don't need an education to join the cartel. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's why a lot of people, the cartels are very, very dominant in my area. Very dominant. I want to say there's like two governments. There's literally two governments. It's the cartel that run things out there, and of course it's the government. But there's even been instances where the government has had to ask for permission to do certain things to the cartel. Like, the cartel is very powerful out there at times, depending who's running things at the moment. So yeah, and jobs, they create jobs, and make a quick buck. So it's easy, and it's the only thing out there.
Yeah. And when you say they create jobs outside of the illegal jobs, is there a form of a legal opportunity within the cartel? Like, do they have like fronts of sorts?
Do you mean like
Like a legitimate
they
business?
they invest? I'm sure
Mm.
they invest in business. They're not going to say what,
Oh, of
because they're
course.
gonna.
No, we don't want to have that information out there. But like, for instance, let's take a hypothetical instance. So in a community which is cartel dominant, we would have multiple supermarkets and maybe a gas station, which
Yeah, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, things like that. Taquerias. There's a lot of tacos out there. Taquerias. Back in the day, I remember when I was little, there was a lot more money, because the recession is hitting everybody, not just us hardworking people,
Hmm.
but us normal people. It's also hitting the cartels, right? And back in the day when I was little, I remember they were the ones that would pay for these big events. There was a huge event that would always come called palenques, and they would bring like major celebrities out to Reynosa, and the stories were that those jefes were the ones paying for all that. They would give back to the community like a lot.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, they do invest. There's some people that try to do good, give back to the community, invest in businesses, or just help out. When people are hungry, they'll donate them some food, donate them clothes. They try to do their good deed.
Yes. It makes perfect sense, and I hear this echoed, across the world where you do have, you know, powerful forces who are doing illegal activity. Yeah, it may be illegal, but ultimately they're still going to bring forth
Yeah,
some form of righteousness within a community which they may have grown up in, or so that's always a good thing. I mean, outside of that, I mean, is it a case? I mean, I'm trying to dispel myths here of sorts as well. So is it a case of the normal sort of populi who aren't necessarily involved in the cartel, are they free to just do what they want? And it's not like you see the cartel and you've got to run in your house and shut the doors and lock everything up, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah, it's a lot like I guess the Taliban,
Mm,
because they do be showing reports of it, little shows, clips. It's kind of like that. It's normal in my area, in Tamaulipas. It's normal to hear gun blasts every night. Like that's normal. It's a normal thing. You hear the sounds, the bullets. Sometimes you hear like the tanks. You hear them going off, and you're just like, oh, se están peleando. You know, like they're fighting. Someone's fighting. I wonder what's going on, but it's normal to hear it every day. If you hear it close by, of course you gotta. The best thing would be to throw yourself to the floor, right? That's the
Indeed.
safest thing. But yeah, it's normal. The streets are empty. I want to say by like around 8, 9, 10. By 10 for sure, the streets are empty and only like the bad people around.
Yeah.
That's when the most hardcore cops are around. They'll stop you. They'll stop every single car they catch after 10. They'll stop every single car. They search them. What is going on here? So yeah, the police will stop every single car. They'll search the vehicle. They'll search your vehicle. They talk to you real ugly too. Bien feo que te hablan. So disrespectful. But I think that's what they're used to. They're just used to dealing with criminals, and they hate them all. They act like they hate them all. And usually they will, if they find something, like anything, any little thing, even what the fuck?
What about weed? Is weed frowned upon down in Mexico?
Yeah. Hold on, it did something.
So I know your time is very precious, mademoiselle, so we'll definitely have to arrange a part 2. I have 2 final questions for you. 2 final questions for you. Firstly, have you had fun with me today?
I have had oodles of fun. I love your accents.
Thank you very much. Many do say that I have some interesting tones, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. My last question for you, before we convene, would be, please tell us who you are, but don't tell us your name, Blue.
Well, like I am, like,
Yeah.
do you know, like I'm a Narco rapper, or like?
So how would someone describe you? What are your, what are you known for? If someone was to say Blue, she is.
Well, a lot of people, not I, but a lot of people call me the real Reina del Sur. Because I live what a lot of people rap about, or the movies. But I'm a Narco rapper. I rap about that life, the Narco culture. I am widowed to the famous Narco rapper Blunt de Rojo Rec, initially Blunt de Cali. I started out with Dope House Records in Houston. People used to know me as Narcotic, and I do rap. I'm a rapper. I do rap. I'm a Latin rapper.
So. Reality rap. Yes.
Reality rap. Yes, none of that fake. Like you don't like. I don't make this shit up. It's real. This is like rap about real life things and experiences.
Perfect. And very lastly, please throw out all your social medias, websites, all that stuff, and I'll make sure I put the links below in the description.
Well, you just got to remember one name, Blue Fronteraz, and you can look me up on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything under Blue Fronteraz. That is BLUE Fronteraz, FRONTERAZ at the end. It has a Z. So just as long as you remember that, you can find me anywhere. Blue Fronteraz.
Excelente. Trustfully, the listeners and the siblings have got a wealth of information. and are very intrigued. If they don't know, they'll be like, let's hear some of this Narco rap. Let's hear some of this here, man. So check it
Narco.
out. Links below. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2 because we're gonna go a lot deeper into the minds of Blue.